Welcome to our channel. Watch till last for scientific proven tips. The video will be in 2 parts. This is the first part. Part 1. Dealing with a toxic person can be mentally draining, but employing certain communication techniques can help you protect your boundaries. We all know that person, the one who leaves you feeling worse off after interacting with them. Maybe it's a manipulative family member or a coworker who can't stop complaining about every little thing. It's common to refer to these people as being toxic, but it's important to keep in mind that this term isn't grounded in psychology and doesn't have a simple definition. If you have a hard time dealing with someone in your life, it's helpful to start by pinpointing problematic behaviors, rather than simply labeling them as being toxic. Barry Susskind, a therapist in Los Angeles who specializes in relationships, shares some key signs of toxicity: self-absorption or self-centeredness manipulation, and other emotional abuse, dishonesty and deceit, difficulty offering compassion to others, a tendency to create drama or conflict. Sound familiar? Read on for tips on how to respond to this type of behavior. Some people have a tendency to see themselves as the victim in every situation. If they mess up, they might shift the blame to someone else or tell a story that paints them in a more positive light. You might feel tempted to nod and smile in order to prevent an angry outburst. This might feel like the safest option, but it can also encourage them to see you as a supporter. Tip: try respectful disagreement instead. You might say, "I had a different take on the situation," and describe what really happened. Stick to the facts without making accusations. While your disagreement might upset them, it might also lower the chances they'll try involving you again. Pay attention to how they make you feel. Sometimes simply becoming more aware of how someone's toxic behavior affects you can help you better navigate interactions with them. Most people occasionally say rude or hurtful things they don't mean. No one feels their best all the time, and being in a bad mood can make you lash out. This isn't necessarily toxic. But ask yourself if put-downs, lies, or other types of emotional and verbal abuse characterize most of your interactions. Do they apologize or seem to notice how what they say or do affects you? Tip: personal struggles don't excuse abuse, and you don't have to accept it either. Talk to them about their behavior. Someone who gossips, manipulates others, or creates dramatic situations might not realize how their behavior affects you or anyone else. An open conversation may help them realize this behavior is unacceptable. To keep things neutral, try to stick to I statements, which feel less accusatory for the other person, and set boundaries that work for you. Here are some examples of this in action. I feel uncomfortable when I hear unkind things about our coworkers. I won't participate in those conversations. I value trust in friendship, so I can't continue this friendship if you lie to me again. Put yourself first. On the flip side, behavior doesn't have to be abusive or spiteful to be toxic. Other behaviors can be just as damaging. Maybe the person in question desperately needs your help to get them out of a bind every time you see them. Or, Susskind says, you're always giving and they're always taking, or you feel like their emotional stability depends on you. You might value your relationship with this person, but don't offer support at the risk of your well-being. Healthy relationships involve give and take, Susskind explains. In other words, you offer support, but you receive support too. Tip: taking care of yourself involves making sure you have enough emotional energy to meet your own needs. This may not happen when you're giving everything to someone who doesn't offer anything in return. Offer compassion, but don't try to fix them. People can change, but they have to be willing to put in the work to do so. You might want to help someone you care about instead of writing them completely out of your life. But, while you can always offer compassion and kindness, you likely won't be able to change them. At the end of the day, they have to commit to putting in the effort. Trying to help someone change before they're ready can sap your emotional resources further. Say no and walk away. Have a hard time turning people down? You aren't alone. Sticking to a refusal can also be tough, especially when someone tries to guilt trip you into changing your mind. But if you do decide to say, no, don't back down. This may prove challenging, especially when they use a dramatic outburst to try to get their way. B. But the more you practice saying no to things you aren't comfortable with, the easier it becomes. Tip. Removing yourself from the situation can help you avoid scenes. If you can't physically leave, make it clear you're no longer involved in the discussion. Say, "Excuse me," and turn away, for example.